Alright, on this episode we're going to get into the tape measure tool. Not only are we going to be able to measure geometry, but it's also going to allow us to create what we call construction geometry, or guides to help us measure off of other certain things without actually creating other lines. And then lastly, we'll get into the tape measuring tool's ability to scale a drawing or increase its size proportionate to a measurement. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a very basic shape here with my rectangle tool. Push and pull that up. I'm going to create a door, and I'm going to create a little window here as well, just for the sake of this particular model. So if this was my house, I wanted to measure out exactly how big my window was. I would come over here, third up from the bottom, and it's a tape measure tool. Okay, I can literally click once on an endpoint and I can drag out a line to other endpoints, and it will either give me a pop-up with a measurement, or if you look over my right shoulder again in that little box, it'll tell you the measurement of that particular line segment. And I don't have to click a second time to be able to find that measurement out. I can then go to other places here and measure off of that single endpoint as well. So it's a really quick and easy way to be able to measure, oh hey, how tall was that again, or how far did that stick in, just like you would use a tape measure in real life. Okay, let's get into working with construction geometry. So for instance, let's say I wanted to create another window here, but I wanted to make sure that it was 10 inches from the edge. I could click once on an edge of a line, not an endpoint, but an edge, and now I can go in the green y-axis here, and what will end up happening is I can measure out, and I could type in 10 inches, hit the enter key, and now this parallel dashed line is 10 inches away from my original line that I measured off of. And this will allow me to then come in here, quickly draw another line, push and pull that out, and you can see how useful this construction geometry is. By the way, if you didn't want to know or check it out, the construction geometry does go in infinity in both directions, so you can reference that later. And just like other lines, they are able to be erased with the eraser tool. So that's some construction geometry. I could also come in here and use my tape measure tool. If I did go off of an endpoint, I click once, I can then measure up a particular distance, let's say 5 inches. Let's just go 5 inches, hit enter, and then that creates an endpoint then for that particular construction geometry. So that'll work when it's at an endpoint. If it was on an edge, it would create the line that goes to infinity and beyond. So I'm going to pull this up in the blue. So now this is parallel to this edge, 5 inches up in infinity. I can also reference off of that and go for angles, and that'll end up going in infinitely as well. So now I can come in here, draw right over that particular idea. I can push and pull that out. So now I have a roof to my house as well. So pretty interesting how we can use that construction geometry to help us draw on our model. Now, obviously we were saying this was 5 inches and whatnot. So if I came in here and actually measured how long or how wide this was, how wide did we say it was? 11 inches and 11 and 11/16 of an inch. That obviously is way too small for my house. So what I can do here is I'm going to select my entire piece, and I'm going to make that measurement again. So I click to start, click a second time to end it, and before I do anything else, I'm not going to click with my mouse. I am now going to enter in the measurement that I want it to be. So instead of 11 and 11/16, I want that to be 4 feet. So I type in 4 apostrophe, I hit enter, and then it's going to ask me, hey, do you want to resize the model? I say okay, and then I can come back in here with my zoom extends tool, and now it looks exactly the same as previously, but when I come in with my tape measure tool, I can measure this clicking once and just going to my endpoint without clicking, and you can see that it is now 4 feet, and it is approximately 5'7" tall. Obviously it's still not a house, an actual house, but you can see how it proportionally grew by just simply clicking a second time and then entering in the information. So if I could say 12 feet, and then now it's 12 feet. So 12 feet across and 16 feet 9 inches tall. So anyways, that's the tape measure tool. It's able to obviously measure like a real tape measure would, but it also allows us to create construction geometry to be able to measure off of different edges of lines to help us continue our construction. And it also allows us to scale a model proportionally. So hopefully you learned a little bit there about the tape measure and how useful it is outside of just measuring. So in the next episode, we're going to actually go through and start using all of these different pieces or all these different tools to actually create a functional, simple chair that we'll end up making in SketchUp. So we'll catch you guys later, all right?